Did you ever wonder what JavaBeans are and how they can be used in JSP pages? Well, let's delve into this topic together. JavaBeans at their core are reusable software components in Java that strictly adhere to certain conventions. They are a fundamental building block in Java-based enterprise development and are used extensively in JavaServer Pages, JSP, to encapsulate business logic, promote reusability, and maintain a clear separation between presentation and logic. So what are these conventions that define a JavaBean? First off, we have properties. These are defined using getter and setter methods. For instance, a property named name would have a getName method to retrieve its value and a setName string name method to set it. Second, a JavaBean should have a public no-argument constructor. This allows it to be instantiated easily, promoting reusability and reducing code complexity. Third, JavaBeans are typically serializable. This means they can be transmitted over networks or stored in files, making them flexible and adaptable to various use cases. Lastly, JavaBeans follow the principle of encapsulation. The properties of a JavaBean are typically private and can only be accessed or modified using the getter and setter methods. This ensures that the integrity of the data is preserved and that it is protected from unauthorized access or modification. In the context of JSP pages, JavaBeans play a crucial role. They allow developers to keep business logic separate from presentation logic, enabling cleaner and more maintainable code. In other words, they help to keep your code organized, making it easier to understand, debug, and improve. So, to sum up, JavaBeans are classes that encapsulate multiple objects into a single object, or bean. They follow specific conventions like properties, no-argument constructor, serializability, and encapsulation. And they're a crucial part of developing efficient and well-organized JSP pages. Understanding these conventions is the first step towards effectively using JavaBeans in JSP pages. So let's keep these in mind as we move forward and explore how JavaBeans components are used in JSP pages and the best practices for their integration. Now that we know what JavaBeans are, let's delve into their role in JSP pages. JavaBeans, with their defined properties, methods, and events, are a cornerstone in Java-based enterprise development. They are used extensively in JavaServer Pages or JSP, primarily to encapsulate business logic, foster reusability, and maintain a clear division between presentation and logic. The beauty of using JavaBeans components in JSP pages is that it enables developers to separate business logic from presentation logic. This separation leads to cleaner, more readable, and maintainable code. Let's get a deeper understanding of how JavaBeans components are integrated into JSP pages. First, let's recap what JavaBeans are. These are classes that adhere to certain conventions. They have properties defined using getter and setter methods, a public no-argument constructor for easy instantiation. They're typically serializable for easy transmission over networks or storage in files, and they maintain encapsulation with properties typically being private and accessed via getter and setter methods. JSP offers several mechanisms to interact with JavaBeans components. These include JSP useBean, JSP setProperty, and JSP.getProperty. The JSP useBean action tag creates or locates an existing JavaBean in a JSP page. It can even create a new instance of a bean if one doesn't already exist in the specified scope. The JSP.setProperty action tag sets properties on a JavaBean. It can be used to set specific properties or automatically map request parameters to bean properties. Multiple JSP.setProperty tags can be used to set multiple properties. And lastly, the JSP.getProperty action tag retrieves and displays property values from a JavaBean. In essence, JavaBeans components are a powerful tool that encapsulates business logic and promotes reusability in JSP-based applications. They play an integral role in JSP pages by allowing developers to write cleaner and more maintainable code by keeping business logic separate from presentation logic. In the next scene, we will start to explore some mechanisms for interacting with JavaBeans components. We'll begin with the JSP useBean action tag. This tag is a workhorse in JSP pages, as it's used to create or locate an existing JavaBean. So it's a key part of integrating JavaBeans into your web applications. The JSP useBean tag has three main attributes: ID, class, and scope. Let's break down each of these. Firstly, we have the ID. This attribute is essentially the variable name you'll use to reference your JavaBean within the JSP page. It's like naming your pet, except this pet does a lot of work for you. Next up is the class attribute. This is the fully qualified class name of the Java bean. Basically, it's the path that leads JSP straight to the Java bean you want to use. It's like the address for where your Java bean lives in your project. Finally, we have the scope attribute. This one's a little bit more complex. The scope defines the lifecycle and accessibility of the Java bean. It can be page, request, session, or application. If you set the scope to page, your Java bean will be available only within the current JSP page. This is like having your pet in one room and not letting it out. Setting the scope to request makes the bean available throughout the current HTTP request. It's like letting your pet roam around your entire house for a while. If you set the scope to session, the bean becomes available for the entire user session. It's like letting your pet out into your garden, where it can run around until it gets tired. Finally, setting the scope to application means the bean is shared across all sessions in the application. This is like letting your pet loose in the neighborhood, where it can interact with all the other pets. So, to recap, JSP useBean is used to create or locate a Java bean in a JSP page. The ID, class, and scope attributes play a crucial role in this process. That's how we create or locate Java beans using JSP useBean. Next, let's talk about setting properties on a Java bean using JSP setProperty. Now, suppose you have a Java bean component in your JSP page and you want to set or change one of its properties. This is where the JSP setProperty action tag comes into play. Essentially, it's a convenient way to set properties on a Java bean. Setting properties with JSP setProperty is straightforward. For instance, if you want to set the username property of a user bean to John Doe, you can do so with the following line of code. Here, name refers to the Java bean ID, property is the name of the property you want to set, and value is the value you want to assign to that property. But what if you have a lot of properties to set and they all match the names of request parameters? There's no need to worry. JSP.setProperty has a feature that automatically maps request parameters to bean properties with the same name. To do this, simply use an asterisk for the property attribute like so. This will automatically set all matching properties on the user bean based on the request parameters. Now, what if you want to set multiple properties on a bean? Well, you're in luck. You can use multiple JSP.setProperty tags to set different properties. For example, if you want to set the username to John Doe and the age to 30 inches on the user bean, you can do so with two JSP.setProperty tags. And the beauty of JSP.setProperty lies in its simplicity and versatility. It provides a clear and concise way to set properties on a Java bean, whether you're setting a single property, mapping request parameters, or setting multiple properties. So the next time you need to manipulate the properties of your Java beans, remember JSP.setProperty. With JSP setProperty, we can easily manipulate the properties of our Java beans. Finally, we have JSP.getProperty, which allows us to retrieve and display property values. This action tag is a vital part of working with Java beans in JSP pages, as it helps us to access the data we've stored in our beans. Think of it as the key that unlocks the treasure chest of data you've tucked away in your Java beans. To retrieve a property, we use the JSP.getProperty tag, along with the name of the bean and the property we want to access. For instance, if we have a user bean and we want to display the username, we'd write it out as follows. This line of code retrieves the username property from the user bean and outputs it to the JSP page, and that's how we retrieve properties from our Java beans using JSP getProperty. This simple but powerful tool allows us to easily access and display the data stored in our beans, streamlining our code and making our JSP pages more dynamic and interactive. Let's quickly recap what we've learned today. Java beans are reusable software components that follow specific conventions, including properties defined using getter and setter methods, a public no-argument constructor, serializability, and encapsulation. They are invaluable in Java-based enterprise development for encapsulating business logic and promoting reusability. In JavaServer Pages, Java beans play a key role in maintaining a clear separation between presentation and logic. This is achieved through the use of three primary mechanisms: JSP useBean, JSP setProperty, and JSP.getProperty. The JSP useBean action tag is used to create or locate an existing Java bean in a JSP page. JSP setProperty, on the other hand, is used to set properties on a bean. Lastly, JSP getProperty allows for the retrieval and display of property values from a Java bean. With these tools, you're well equipped to start using JavaBeans in your JSP pages. Thanks for watching.